Hi. If you haven't seen the title, I am making a Omer calendar. The description describes what that is. Basically, in Leviticus, we are called to count the Omer, which is the wheat sheaves, the wheat harvest after we have Passover, and then we have Feast of Unleavened Bread, and then we have first fruits. And after first fruits, there's 50 days till Pentecost, right? And if you know the story of the crucifixion and everything, and Messiah rising, and the symbolism with first fruits and everything, we then count 50 days essentially to Pentecost, when the Holy Spirit was poured out on the apostles. So that would be the Christian aspect of this, of course. So I wanted to make my own Omer counter or calendar. There's lots of different ways you can do this. I did credit the basic information that goes a little more into detail about the Leviticus law, the commandment in this and everything. So you can go to the Land of Honey blog, but the link's below in the description. But I love her blog. She is a Torah observant Christian, so she just explains everything very from a Christian perspective and from following Torah with God's commands in mind, and not so much oral or man's teaching or anything like that added to it. So it's a great resource, especially if you're first coming to following Torah and everything, because you get a lot more just kind of basic information instead of being kind of confused as to what is more for Orthodox Judaism versus like being a Torah observant, a Christian and stuff. So Land of Honey is a great blog. I like her blog. She has a lot of like printouts and craft ideas and stuff like that. I think she has like a Passover bucket list. So if you kind of aren't sure some stuff to do over Passover, it's great. I am a little bummed this year because Passover is falling right on my friend's wedding, and my husband is the best man, so I have to go to this wedding. So it'll be fun, and I'll still get to essentially celebrate with friends and family and feasting and everything. It's just not going to be the same way that I would really want to experience my first Passover. So I'm excited for maybe next year being able to do more of a community-based one. But for now, I'm doing the best I can with what I have, which I guess is good for your first one anyways. Although a lot of people recommend going and like being a part of another one for the first one to kind of see what it's about. I don't really have that opportunity this year. They do always do like a second Passover. However, that might be something I look into because of it. But a lot of the like congregations and everything that do Passover with the community and stuff, they don't I'm using this like toothpick thing to open this paint. They don't do like a second one as far as like a community one. So okay, so anyways, there's no like, I'm not going to go direction by direction. There's not really a whole lot to base any of this off of, as far as like I'm coming up with a lot of this myself. Like I said, there's other ones. I can kind of show you a couple on my phone just to give you an idea of some different ways you can make these. You can make it as simple as literally printing out a piece of paper or a poster and doing it. A lot of people like to get creative with it. So there's just a couple different options. Let me see here. Okay, so this one is a really good example of like the type I'm going to be making, just a little bit differently because it's for a classroom. So you can see there's the different weeks here. I guess you can't read it because it's blurry, but these say week 1 all the way to week 7 because there's 7 weeks. So it'll be week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then there's 7 days essentially in each week, right? So there's 7 of these little like pool floaty things that they made. and you just move it over kind of like an abacus. Like, you remember when you're little, in the little abacus, you would move and count and stuff. I don't know if it's like something my generation, I don't know how old you guys are, but an abacus is essentially kind of the style that it is until you get to 50. So that's kind of a cool way to do it. So that's the method I'm using. I'm just going to be using it in a much smaller form, which I'll show you in a second. But here's some other options if you aren't necessarily crafty or just want to be a lot more simple with it or anything like that. There's literally something as simple as like a calendar printout that has 50 days on it, and you just count the days, each day scratch one off like you would on your calendar. That's like this most simple aspect of that command, right? So some people get creative with it. There's different ones like that go in like a diagonal and stuff like that. Then we have some people who get really creative. Like, this is a Lego Omer calendar, which I thought was really cool. And it, I think, has little things like their little doors you open, kind of like an advent calendar. If you're familiar with that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's lots of different ways. This one, again, is kind of similar to that too. These are little boxes. And this one, I really like this idea. I didn't have I feel like I have so many things I'm doing right now. I just started a new job, or actually am starting a new job Monday. So I don't really have a ton of time right now to focus on like one specific craft. But I think I might make one of these for next year, because what they did is they put scripture in each little box. They just like mixed them up so they didn't know which ones they were getting. And then they put them each, and then each day they open one up and read it. So again, kind of similar advent calendar style. So I really do like that one. And like I said, you can just get creative. There's no set way, obviously, being not like in an actual wheat harvest and being a farmer and everything. I'm not actually have wheat sheaves to count and everything like that, but that's essentially the idea, and that's how you know when you get to Pentecost. So with that being said, I just, like I said, I'm getting creative with it. So this right here, I got from the thrift store for $1. We have this new thrift store that opened up, and they have all kinds of stuff. And this literally, I was kind of looking for something that was sort of like a frame, but was indented like this, because what I'm going to do is have pieces of twine with beads to count. And this was a good size where I could do some decorative painting, make it really pretty, and be able to see it, and then also have enough space to do the counting of the 7 weeks. So this was literally $1, like I said, but it doesn't have to be this thing. It can be, I was kind of looking for a frame, but I didn't really find a good frame. And then I saw this and it was perfect. I was like, okay, that wins. I thought maybe like if I couldn't find something like this, I was going to do like a basket. So then I went to the dollar store and I got some beads, and I'm probably just going to use depending on how many are in here. I don't know if there's 50 of each color. I might just use the gold color since it's kind of like wheat and harvesty is kind of the colors I'm going for, or the blue and gold. And I might just keep these 3 for another project. So hi Amber, Shabbat Shalom. If you guys have any questions or anything, I'll try and answer depending. It doesn't have to be about what I'm making. I just thought it'd be fun to kind of hang out and chit chat and share this in case anyone wants to do this too. And then I got from the dollar store brown paint. By the way, when I say dollar store, Dollar Tree, so I guess it's $1.25 store. But I got this yellow, mustardy yellow, because between that and then the white, of course, I can kind of make like a wheatish color and do like little pretty things of wheat and stuff like that. We're going to try at least. The dollar store paint, I think, is not like the most opaque, but it will do. Of course, we have paintbrushes. I have a couple different types. I have like these, and then I have more of a like plasticky bristle if one or the other doesn't work that well. And then that was pretty much like the gist of what I was gonna do. I got twine, but you could use yarn. Doesn't have to be twine. They had this at the dollar store too. So I wanted something a little bit thicker so that the beads wouldn't slide back and forth super easy. I mean, the holes are fairly small, but this does look like it should fit fine. So they're not like tiny. So that was pretty much it and what I was going to stick with. But then I went to a different one because I literally have like 2 within the same distance. And they had some more of these like rub-on transfers, which I loved. I actually used some of these on my wedding invitations or wedding announcements, should I say, because I got eloped. But I used these gold ones, and from the dollar store, they work real good. So they're really pretty, and there's different letters. There's like different leaves and stuff. You have numbers. Now, there's not obviously a ton in here, but I could use, the 50, 50. There's some bigger ones here. And then I really like the flowers. So these literally you just cut like you would essentially like one of those temporary tattoos as a kid. And then you just peel off the plastic and you just rub the back of it pretty hard. And then you just peel and the gold comes off on whatever you're trying to rub on. And then these were new. And some of these have some very kind of harvesty looking things. So I thought that might be kind of fun to use this too. So we'll probably, I don't know if I'll be able to do this today on this video because the paint obviously will have to dry, but I'll show you guys, of course, on TikTok, the final outcome, and I'll maybe make a second video on here for you to see the final outcome. If you guys don't follow me on TikTok, I don't know if anyone watches me on here that's not on my TikTok, but so, okay, so I'm just gonna start with the white. And like I said, this paint is like questionable. It's from the dollar store, so it just is not like it doesn't really do anything. Does that make sense? Like it's not very like it looks like it's white, right? But it just doesn't show up the same way. Now I might end up, if this doesn't end up working, which borderline looking like right now it's not, then I do have some other paint that is higher quality. It's chalk paint and it was supposed to be white, but apparently somebody put it back on the shelf at Home Depot not white. So by the time I opened it and brought it home and used it, I didn't realize the whole time that it wasn't white, and then it was too late to return. So it's like a nice beige color, but it's not. Unfortunately, it's not white, which I was a little bummed about because chalk paint is not cheap. But, okay, so just to give you an idea of what I'm saying. Does that look like I painted anything to you? It looks wet, right? Nope. Absolutely nothing there. So we're going to go to plan B. We're going to go get the other paint. Or if you have, better white paint than me. I have craft stores. It's just they're not super close, and I didn't feel like going all the way there. So, maybe we can do something else with this white paint at another time. I'm not sure what, but I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab that other paint, the chalk paint. So don't go anywhere if you're watching. I'll be right back. You guys can just look at my mantle city that I made a while back with the little houses. Okay, I am back. I know I'm painting on my couch, but I do have like this little kid table. Okay, so let me try and set this up so you guys can see a little better what I'm doing. Okay, so I have black chalk paint, which I was debating on using, so I went ahead and just grabbed it. I do have like a dark brown, so I could mix this with the lighter brown to kind of maybe get a little more of this in case this one does seem to be a different brand, so this one might actually be decent. And same with the yellow one. And then I do have, I forgot I had this gray. It's a fairly light gray, so I might be able to use this one instead of white. But I am thinking I'm going to use the, see, this is what it was supposed to be, a linen white. And I did this. This was not on top. But it's kind of a light, it almost matches my couch a little bit. But I think for what we're doing, this will work. And I'll be happy with it. So we're going to go ahead and do that one. So, how are y'all's Saturday doing? Anyone doing anything fun for Shabat? Okay. Nobody wants to talk today. That's okay. Okay. Hi, Alex. Okay, so I'm just gonna mix this paint a little. This should be super quick. Shabbat Shalom. So if you guys have any good movie recommendations, I'm always down. I did watch someone, my friend just told me the other day about the movie Esther, but I actually had just watched it like 2 weekends ago. But the movie Esther was actually really good. I don't know if there's multiple ones out there, but it's on PureFlix, but I'm sure it's like the main one that was done. But it's really good. So he said no, wait, what was it? There was another one. He said there was Daniel. So the Daniel one was really good too, but I don't think I've seen the Daniel one. So just reading through Hebrews today. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've read Hebrews obviously, but not super recently. What I've been reading, I guess, lately and focusing on is I was reading Joshua, and then I was reading Acts again, and then I was reading. See, the only thing is this white paint here. I'm gonna have to kind of mix where I painted there. And if you hear noises and stuff, my cats are running around, so you might see them behind me. But yeah, I like study heavily, usually a lot, and so I've been kind of trying to make myself just take more time to live in the moment, and not study so hard. At least right now, I just felt like my kind of spirit was like, let's rest, just rest in God and everything. I did. I am looking into finding a new like Saturday Sabbath church. And there's one I'm thinking I might go to. Unfortunately, there's just none that are super close to me. And it's like, when I say not super close, like I'm talking almost an hour away. So it's just hard to kind of be like, I've been watching online, which is fine, but then you don't really get like a lot of the community aspect of being part of, a church or a congregation or anything. So Okay, so you can see already how much better that's covering than that white was. So obviously it's a darker color too, but it dries you a little lighter than what it looks like. So, and the good thing about chalk paint is it is matte. So I do tend to like matte paints, easier to like paint pictures and stuff on after it dries. So yeah, I was saying the Esther movie was really good. I did watch that because of like Purim around that time. I'm trying to think if there's anything like really interesting that I haven't shared with you guys that I found in scripture lately. I will say about like what's going on in the world's very interesting right now. We're seeing a lot of things setting up. I have to be careful with what I say on here because there are regulations because of the what going on in the European region. So I can't really say a lot about that on here. Of course, So anyways, what I will say though is just the way things are setting up for a peace deal potentially, and who might be strengthening that and heading that might be a very big potential prophecy, because there's a lot of people trying to be kind of candidates of it right now. This would include the Pope. We've got, of course, Macron a little bit, but he's actually not too involved. I feel like he's involved in everything at this point, but not like Israel's trying pretty hard to possibly be a contender, which is very potential for prophetic stuff. The other thing I didn't really realize for some reason, I guess, is I knew who the president of Israel was, but I did not know that he's only been president since 2019. And I don't know if that's because all the eyes tend to be focused more on the prime minister, because things are a little different than they would be like in the U.S., but you guys have any thoughts on any of that? So, okay, so I'm almost done with that base color. Probably paint the inside of that because I didn't tape it off. I'm not going that hard. I don't know about y'all, but I'll probably paint like the edges of it too. So, and I do have, I don't know where I put them, these little clips. Oh, they're right here. So I have these little clips that I got from the dollar store, which are kind of like little wood clips. So what I'm going to do is when I go to glue the twine on with the beads, I'm going to use that to press and hold it down until the glue dries, so that it's on there. If you had like a smaller wood staple gun, if you were using wood, you could do that. If you don't end up using wood, then you don't have to even worry about things being that critical. But I just feel like when it comes to paper style crafts, I'm not as well versed as like stuff with wood or metal. And I don't know if that's just how my brain works, or I don't know. I'm not really like a super attention to detail person when I create stuff. And so for me, paper needs a lot more precision because you're doing a lot of folding and cutting and stuff like that. Now, if I was cutting my own wood, that might be a different story. But I put my desk together all by myself. So that was pre-cut wood, though. Okay. This side looks like it may need a second coat a little bit. The stuff does dry pretty quick, so maybe I can do some transfers for you guys on here. So we'll see. I'm not doing like a super thick layer or anything either. I'm just trying to make sure that there's no wood showing through. Okay. So So that's essentially the color. Some of it's already drying, so that's why you can see. But I'll probably do that on both of these. I might do a darker color. I might do that dark brown on the inside of the edges. Kind of change it up. Maybe on this frame too. Make it look, I don't know, a certain way. I might use the lighter gray a little bit up here because what I kind of was trying to do was do the most of the counter if I can fit them all, which I probably can, down here, and then just have this part be like decorative with some wheat and the words and stuff like that is kind of what I was thinking. So, but we'll see. You know, I try not to get my mind too set on something in case it doesn't work out the way I'm thinking it's going to. So can we see what you're painting? Yes, I just showed you. Okay. And like I said, I got this at the dollar store, or no, sorry, the thrift store. I got the piece of wood at the thrift store. But like one of my thrift stores does have home goods, but doesn't have stuff like this. But you could try and find an old frame, or, I mean, there's so many things you can use and get creative. If you're not, like I said, super creative, you can just print it out or however you want to do it. But just ignore her. Lily. She gets mad every time somebody comes in. Ma'am. The problem is she's, huh? I'm good. I'm doing a YouTube live. No, you're okay. You like the color? I wish I knew what the color was, but unfortunately it was supposed to be white, so I don't actually know. Yeah, I like it because it's kind of like a gray brown, so it's not too brown or too gray. Now this for a wall color would be really cool, which I've kind of been trying to find. I don't know if you can kind of see like the swatch right here. Is pretty similar, actually. The color we did in the kitchen area, we're going to paint the cabinets black to match the appliances. And then do something similar to this in the living room, but I was kind of weighing how dark I wanted to do it because I didn't want to do too dark, but I didn't want to go too light either. So plus it's just, I don't like painting walls. It's not really fun to do for me, so I've been avoiding the living room. It's pretty big. It's got vaulted ceilings, so okay. So we're gonna pull this brown out now. Which I've never opened. There we go. Of course, it only half opens, right? So where are you guys from? Are you from Texas? Are you from different parts? Okay, the one thing I probably should have brought over here, though, was another napkin or something. Just trying not to get paint on myself, but a little hard. Okay, we're moving on. We're getting another paintbrush here. Not pretty dark brown. Let's color my hair. But yeah, I think this will be a good, like, trim color for it. The Panhandle. I've never actually been to the Panhandle. I've been, like, kind of West Texas a little bit and East Texas, of course, and stuff. But Panhandle, you guys get snow up there, I believe. I think the closest, I'm trying to think what's the furthest up north I've been in Texas. And it's funny that if you're from Texas, you know why you have to say it that way, because El Paso is as far away from Houston as Chicago is from Houston, right? So where things are in Texas are very different than other places in the state. Let's see, we've got Connecticut. I've heard Connecticut's beautiful. I've always wanted to go there. I've been to North Carolina. I've been to Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama. I've been to New Orleans and Louisiana, of course. California, my family's from there, so. Let's see. Corpus Christi. Yeah, see, Corpus Christi is far away from me. Not super far, but it's far. Farther than you would think it was. I want to say it's like 8 hours. Four seasons a day. It's crazy. I'm just saying. Yeah. This Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin region, we get 4 seasons a day easily. Like literally, just to give you an example, like for sure in a week, but it's beautiful, perfect weather today. It's been like that pretty much all week, but the beginning of the week it was like torrential downpour, thunderstorms, tornadoes. Then yesterday morning it was pretty freezing and everyone had to wear sweaters and jackets and stuff, and then it got hot and it was summer all of a sudden. So yeah, you never really know what to wear. Dress in layers, I guess. Everything is in Texas is far. Yeah, it is. I was talking to some friends that live in Arkansas, Missouri area. There's a lot of Torah observant people in that area, like a lot. But it's like in the kind of the Ozark area, which is beautiful, by the way. I kind of like want to go live there now. But we were talking about distance wise, the drive. I was like, that's less than like it would take me to get here or there, like South Padre, or like I said, Corpus Christi, or okay, I'm just trying to be a little careful on the edges here. I found this really cool app on my phone. So I don't know if you guys saw that video edit I made. That music edit I made. It's just kind of mixed music. I did that on a video editing app, but I wanted to. The one thing I can't do on that app is split voice from music. So if there's like a really good sermon, but it has music behind it, or a song maybe that I want to use multiple words for multiple songs, but the beat doesn't necessarily overlap. It's a free app. It's called, let me see on my phone. Let's see. I was shocked at how good it was for being a free app. I was like, oh, let's try it. It's called like Noises, but with an M, so Moises. And it's black with like, kind of looks like a little blue water wave right here in the corner. And it literally, you can copy a link from YouTube, okay, of a music video, put it in there, and it will split the voice from it. You can split up to, I think, the voice plus 3 instruments without having to pay for any of it. And then anything more than that, you'd have to pay for. You can't mix music on it though, but you can then take those audio files and mix them on a different app. So if you guys want to play around with doing that, I recommend that. This like brown is so dark, it's almost black. Which I'm not mad at, but it just realizing how dark. I mean, it's starting to come together, right? Like I said, I'm not gonna, since I'm on the couch here, I'm not gonna go all the way on the edges just yet, which is fine. I don't need to do that right this second anyways. That could be one of the like final steps I do. Okay. I think for now, I'm just going to stop there with this color because like I said, I don't need to finish it right this second. You get the idea because obviously I'm going to get a smaller one because as you can see, I already messed up here. Probably touch that up real quick. I'll get a really small, I do have a really small brush right here, and I'll just get that edge really, really well so that it's really clean. But since I'm trying more to just kind of chill with you guys and work on this, I'm not going to worry about it right this second. One thing my dogs have realized about me following Sabbath and stuff is that, that means we might be able to go on walks. So I started taking them on walks. And we have this park. They're really hard to walk, okay? They're like big dogs. And I have this area that they built a fence around, like the school area. The school's in the neighborhood, but they still leave like the gates open because people walk the trail and stuff in there. So if I go early enough, there's nobody there and I can literally just let the dogs run in the field. But if anybody's there, I can't do that, right? Because it's not like it's a dog park. So I drive them usually in the car if we can't do that sometimes. And that seems to actually be good for them. Because we have Miss Antisocial here. As you can hear her barking. She's barking at my husband's mom. They live in on our property. So yeah, we're going to do that. Basically, I'm going to paint in here and paint all around the edges here and on the sides. This is Melissa and Doug on it. Because originally I think this was like, you can see, pattern block board or something, but actually I got it from the thrift store for $1. And then I'll probably work on the like mural part. So I guess the only thing is I do kind of need to finish the paint down here because if I'm going to glue the twine on for you guys, then I need to have that painted. Because that would be after it's painted, I guess. So, okay, let's see. I was also reading Hebrews today, and a friend sent me the verse on Hebrews. Okay, well, thanks for giving me the spiritual tip there. We obviously need to read Hebrews today. Maybe there's a reason. I'll go read Hebrews tonight now. I have so many like projects, and I do technically have a podcast that I never do anymore because I just don't have time with working full time to do all of the above, unfortunately. So I kind of have to pick and choose. And my goal is to eventually either be able to do something kind of work at home type, or just stay at home altogether so that I have more time to kind of dedicate and do some stuff for you. Because what I originally wanted to do was, I do my end time news every day, but I wanted to then maybe on my podcast go a little bit more into depth into some of the stories and stuff like that, and why they could, have prophetic implications and what that means, and what that means if things progress, things like that. Like, just go more into detail for you guys. I just don't have the time to do that, unfortunately, at the moment. So maybe in the future. I obviously don't do any of this for money or anything. So, but our house is going to be paid off in the fairly near future, like next 3.5 years. So at least by then, I should probably be able to step away from full-time work. So if we're here, let's, sometimes I'm like, come, Jesus, please. I know it sounds really morbid to say, but you know what I mean. I don't mean it in a morbid way. I just mean no one can really predict at this point what the next even 5 years is going to look like with the way things are. So okay. Have you guys ever in-depth read Joshua, the book of Joshua? Because if you really go and read it with hold on. Okay, I'm just making sure there's no paint before. If you really go read it with Jesus, Yeshua in mind, and you go read predominantly, all of Joshua is great and gives a lot of foreshadowing and stuff, but if you really go read towards the end when he's talking about Adoni Bezek, which is the king, and then there's in Joshua 10, there's 5 kings, and he puts their bodies in a cave. Mind you, the cave is always, I don't know, something about a cave. A lot of stuff happens with caves, okay? Like Abraham and Sarah were buried in a cave. And then a stone was rolled over it. And then there's a tree that they put a stone underneath and there's just some really interesting things that if you go and you read scripture and you read in Revelation and Daniel and some of these prophecies, it's kind of giving you a little more detail into what some of the stuff's gonna, what this covenant with the lawless one and a covenant and all that might have to do with the end times and stuff a little more. So yes, yeah. Hi, Jenny. It's coming along, guys. It's coming along. It's almost there. We're not going to worry about the top half right this second because we're just trying to get this on so it can dry while I'm painting the top half so that we can then put our little twine on. I thought about just, making a, how they make YouTube videos with, editing and cutting scenes. So obviously I would cut the drawing time out of this and stuff, but I figured since I was just doing this kind of hanging out, if you guys want to hang out with me, I'd rather just do that because I'm not necessarily being that I got this from the dollar or the thrift store and not anybody can just get their hands on this. I didn't want to necessarily make it you can make one exactly like this video because To some extent you can, but not entirely. Behind the scenes here. There is a little fly in here. Yeah, so anyways, back to what I was saying with Joshua and everything. So yeah, go read it if you haven't read it in a while. Judges also has some interesting implications, which comes right after. Although I started to read it, but then I was kind of off in my little world reading some stuff. I've just found some interesting things, and I don't have answers for you. I just have my spirit has caught on to some things, and I don't really know what to think about some of it because I don't know. For example, I always joke with my friends when I talk about stuff like this. There's something about Elijah. I don't know. I feel like Elijah's so underrated, y'all. Like, people talk about him, but they don't really talk about him. Like, first of all, John the Baptist came in the spirit of Elijah. Okay. Did you know John the Baptist was born with the Holy Spirit already before he was born? Did you know that? Go and read in Luke. He was born with the Holy Spirit. Okay. Then, do you know during Passover Seders, they put out a cup of wine for Elijah? Because it said that before the Messiah comes, Elijah will come visit on Passover. So they leave the door open for Elijah. And they leave a cup of wine for him. Okay, so if you think about all the prophets, you think about, yes, Elijah didn't die, he was pulled up into a chariot and stuff, but there's more to Elijah. I don't know. It's just really interesting. I don't know what it is exactly. I can't pinpoint it. So I've been kind of like, I won't say following him, but I've been kind of like looking a lot into scripture about him and stuff. There's also some interesting things that I just look at and I don't see them as, I won't say coincidences, because obviously I don't think of it as a coincidence, but I just feel like it's not just random, because it's not. And when I say these things, it's not like these hidden mysteries in the Bible are for salvation purposes or anything, but I think it's more so just more in depth of the truth, and also just reveals the complexity and the proof of the Bible, right? Because no human man would be able to do this stuff, let alone 40 different men over 1,500 years in 3 languages, in 3 continents, all lining up. And then without AI, without computers, without any of these things to hide and know patterns and stuff like that. And mind you, just the prophecies in general that come true and everything like that. So I always just find really neat insight into some of these kind of like more spiritual mystery type stuff in the Bible. And so, like, for example, I'm trying to think which book it is. I can't remember which one because I've read a million of them, but it may be, I don't know. You may know when I tell you, so I'm just going to say it. So there's a part in scripture where it says, I think it's Ezekiel. That's what it is. Okay. In Ezekiel, he's talking with, I can't remember if he's talking to an angel or if he's talking to like God. in this part of the verse. But basically, we know that Abraham said to the Lord when he was about to go destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, if there were 5 people, would you, if there were 10 people, would you save on account of 5? And he said yes, right? Like 4 times, I think. And then, or maybe it was, I think it was 4. I don't know. Anyways, so then in Ezekiel, when Ezekiel's essentially kind of talking to him about a similar type subject, he says, even if Job, Daniel, and Noah, they could only basically save themselves. They could, like, no one else, right? So where Lot got to essentially bring his family with him, they were just saying, like, even if these 3 were here, it would still happen, is what it's basically saying. Like, they could only save themselves. So I just thought that was really interesting. Like, out of all the people in the Bible who are considered good, considered righteous, considered, followers of God and everything, why those 3 specifically are mentioned in Ezekiel? What about those 3 compared to the others? Why were they mentioned? So I think there's something to it. I have not had a chance to study heavily into it. I think about the stories of them, and I think about, obviously, Noah is a fairly easy one. And the only idea about it that I've kind of have a theory about it is they're different examples of followers of God. So we have the generation, so to speak, of Noah, who is saved because everyone else was found, like, awful, wicked. But he found Noah to be righteous in his generation. So Noah and his family were saved. Then we have Daniel, who pretty much essentially the whole time was devout follower of God in multiple ways. So he obviously obeyed the commands and everything, but he also had to do with prophecy. So he kind of was, like, just in general well-rounded, right? He went through trials in life, of course, but he never, like, slipped up with his relationship in Daniel's story, right? Daniel didn't have, like, a falling away, so to speak. Whereas, like, Noah had some things, but he didn't end up bad or anything. He just had some, like, things, like when he was drunk and stuff like that. So Job was, like, kind of the believer who was tested and persecuted for his faith and everything like that. So it's kind of like 3 different examples of, I don't know, how the scenarios of believers, right? So that's kind of like my theory. I don't know if you guys have a theory on that or not. Or was this the first time you're hearing about it? So you don't, have anything to it, and that's fine. I just thought. Okay. I'm going to stop there now. For real. Because I got to clean up the inside, and then I'm going to let that part dry. We're going to paint this. Hopefully this will be at least mostly dry by the time I paint this, because then I'm going to do the twine. So when I paint this, I'll let it all dry while I'm putting the beads on the twine. That should give it a little more time. So let me touch this up with a really small brush. A little baby brush. So, are any of y'all going to make an Omer counter now? I just thought I'd go ahead and get, like, a jump start on it because it's about to be April and Passover's pretty close, coming up. I feel like it'll be here before I know it. And like I said, with me just being really busy lately, I'm about to be starting a new job. My friend, like I said, they're getting married, so I'm going to have to kind of semi-prepare for that situation. And I've also been deep cleaning my house on Sundays, since I'm not doing it now. Thank goodness. But I've been deep cleaning it for Passover because honestly it needed it, and it's just really motivated me to go through and do things that I pretty much never do. Like I, cleaned out the entire fridge and scrubbed all the shelves and reorganized it, and I went and got like acrylic organizers for the fridge. And now I love my fridge. And it makes me like want to keep it more organized because of that. And then I, did the inside of the microwave. I'm going to do the stove probably this Sunday, which I'm not really looking forward. The stove was probably one of my most dreaded. And I'm talking like I'm just like organizing underneath the cabinets, just, I don't know, stuff I've never done before. Some people are A-type personality and they, can't not have it like that. I did the pantry a while back, but I feel like it still needs some. We have a small pantry and it's hard. So I feel like it still needs some help. Okay, now we're going to do it with... No, nobody wants to chime in. I know there's only 4 of y'all in here, so I'm trying to have a conversation. I would have done this on TikTok live because I feel like more people, are able to obviously see TikTok live, but there's so many aspects of it that you can't really do that you can do here on YouTube. And I've just found it really hard to get recordings pulled off of TikTok to add on to here lately. I don't know if they moved them when they updated the app or what, but okay. Hold on, we gotta... No. Yeah. Okay. All right, I am almost done here. Is there anything you guys want to see from me on TikTok, or any subjects that I haven't really talked about, or... Okay. I still feel like it's, not perfect, obviously, but we're going to let it dry for now because I feel like it's going to be way easier to touch up once it's dry. So I'm going to pull out the gray. I'm going to see if I like the gray real quick. And if not, I'm going to just go ahead and use the same color in here. But I'm going to see if the gray looks okay or not. And I think I am going to shift y'all over this way. Maybe you can see a little better. It will be more on what I'm doing. Try to adjust here. Okay. can open it. I may not be able to. It's like probably paint shut, right? Oh, see, I'm strong. I can do it. Okay. I think so. I need to mix it up a little. Is this a better angle? Okay. That's the gray. I'm just gonna like glob a bunch of it on while I'm here. Okay, I think that's good. You can always put more. Okay. Yeah, because it's still like a similar type gray as to the bottom, so. See how black that looks? Like you can't even tell that it's brown, but it is brown. It's just very, very dark brown. But I like black. I like kind of that like white and beige with like touches of black modern kind of farmhouse look a little bit. Not like too farmhousey, but maybe this is the way to paint. You just shove a bunch of paint on there and it spreads it around pretty easily. We're gonna try and paint the top of this one though lighter on the sides. Get a little more airiness. Also, really neat painting technique is to paint something a lighter color, like white or like gray like this, then to let it dry, and to then take a dry brush and just barely dip it in to a slightly darker color, nothing too dark, but a slightly darker color, and you kind of just brush it over it, and it makes it kind of look like it's kind of like a washed antique colored. Okay. I'm just weird about like getting my brush strokes for the most part going the right way. They must all be facing up now. Okay. So the question is, that one's a little more gray, but I mean, it kind of looks weird that they're both different colors right now. But like I said, this one I'm going to paint a mural on, so it's going to have a lot of this color in it too. So. And then I'm going to do the sides here dark. I'm going to try and keep the top light though. Okay. I've been tired lately. Have y'all? What's been going on? Okay. I need the dark one again. Okay. Okay, for now. I just realized I touched that. Okay. Okay, now why that is. My cat's trying to get a bug on the window on the outside. I'm just trying to, like I said, get an extra layer here. Okay, now while that's drying, I'm just going to set it over here for now. I'm going to go ahead and string the beads. So we're going to use this twine. If I can find the beginning of it. There it is. And we're going to take this twine. I'm going to cut this very edge off because it's a little crazy. Yeah. And we're just going to start stringing some beads on it. I'm not going to worry too much about length right now. So what I'm going to do is just string probably all 50 beads. And then count them off and cut them and measure them after, which you'll see. So let me find my beads, which are probably over there, right underneath. Here. Actually, now that I think about it, that darker color on the trim is actually pretty cool because that's black, so it'll match a little better probably. Okay. So there's essentially, there should be 50 beads in here. There's one, yeah, because there's 250 beads and there's 5 colors, so there should be at least 50. I'm pretty sure. I'm not. Okay, we're just gonna pour them all right here so I don't lose them. And if it really gets hard for me to do this, I can put, which I'm going to have to do right now. I'm going to have to put just a drop of this glue on the edge. This is why I'm going to bead them all at once first, because I don't have a needle that is going to be thick enough to have this string, but thin enough to go through the thing. So basically, yeah, I get super glue in my hands, but you just use some hot water. You can get it off pretty easy. And luckily I used my paint fingers, so it'll be even easier. And I basically just made it so all this part is not going to fray now, and I can just put it through. All of this I don't care, because once I have that beaded, it's going to be really hard to get it if it's fraying at the end. So then I just over the years, people have asked me, like, how do you know all this stuff? I'm like, it's my brain. I am not good at details. Most jobs hate me because I'm not what you consider a normal person and I'm not good at normal people things, but I'm good at solving problems. I'm good at creative ideas. And so usually pretty good at figuring stuff out. But I guess I should be counting these, right? 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay. You know what? We're just going to make this easy on myself so I can talk to y'all. I've got 5 here. And then that way I guess I could see if I have enough. Otherwise I need to use the blue. So I've got 5, 6, 7, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 36. Okay, I'm pretty sure I have exactly 50, so that works. Okay. Okay, so anyways, you beat these. But see, this is like why I use a string, because see how they don't move, but I could still slide them up and down. So when I count it, if they're kind of like slacked like this, it's not super tight, they're not going to like slide back to the other side. They're going to stay exactly where I put them. So like I said, if you can't get your hands on twine, I would think yarn. If you want to use prettier beads, you can. I just was trying to do this as low budget for now as possible. I'm sure there's companies that make really pretty ones. Maybe there isn't, I don't know. Then once I get a few on there, I'm going to slide it down. So then, like I said, once I go to measure, I'll cut these, I'll like push them out of the way. And when I get, 7 on each, I'll cut it. I have 50 beads if I don't lose any, right? I'm sorry if I keep yawning. It's just one of those days. Okay. Get all these on. Uh-oh. I have a cat right here, and she's spotted the beads. Okay. She's hanging out underneath this little table. Let's see if I can. You can probably see her. You see the little paw? You see the critter? Okay. What am I doing? That does make me a little nervous, though, so we are going to go ahead and put the paint on the table in case she starts to get a little cray-cray, like she's doing. No, ma'am. No. Ow, no, ma'am. No, we're not getting a string. It's coming up here. Away from you. Do y'all have cats? Or dogs? People are always like, I don't know how people have children and pets, okay? Like, I see why a lot of people who have kids don't want pet dogs. Like, I love my pets dearly, and if I had kids, I would love them dearly, but I can't imagine having both. I feel like it's just already so much chaos. She's literally trying to get the string like she can see it in here, and she's trying to get it through the. Oh, but you're in the way of the beads. No, you got my beads. Do you hear my washer? I'm not doing laundry, by the way. That's like I said, we have one washer and dryer. His parents live on our property, and they come use our washer and dryer. So laundry would be the last thing I'd want to do on Shabat. That'd be for sure. Let's see what y'all planting this year in the garden. So right now, I was just letting my bed kind of rest, which worked out Shemitah year, but we just had the Jewish New Year, right? So it's no longer Shemitah year, I believe. I don't know, I have to look at that. But what was still growing and thriving in my bed, my garden bed, but my elderberry has not started putting out berries, but it is getting bigger and more full. So I'm not sure. I need to look it up what point, like how old the plant has to be, or maybe if there's something I'm not doing right for it to have berries. Because it looks great. It's just there's no berries on it yet. So I don't know if it's like an age thing or if it's a, fertilizer thing or something. We're getting there. I'm just keeping it over here because of my cat. Then the lavender in my bed has taken off like immensely, and it's starting to bud. It's not by any means like a ton of lavender or anything. It does smell great, but there are a few little, I would say there's not enough to harvest, but it does smell good. That's what I'll say. But you can see the little purple flowers, so there's that. Then I have my lemon balm is doing really good. I have some mint coming back, and I have some oregano coming back, and the sage is booming. And I still am shocked that there's some rosemary in there because literally I have not taken care of it at all. I've just let it rest. And all of them, if you have a hard time, if you don't have a green thumb, because I don't have a green thumb, I found clustering plants together. I think they call them forest gardens. But that's honestly the best way to grow plants because they all protect each other. They help protect each other from bugs. They help shade each other if you live somewhere that the sun's really, really hot like here. And that's why they've managed to just survive. They're all clumped together, and they all were hidden underneath the giant basil plants that did die. And the basil usually does die every year. And the basil, those stems wood out, so they are very similar to a tree where, like, if you let it bud and you let the flowers grow, it will get hard like a tree. And then you have to cut the branches. They're wood. So I had cut back. There was some of those branches still in there. When I saw the other plants were doing pretty good, I went ahead and cut it back just so that they could get a little more sun and not have like that big old stick in the way. And they seem to be doing good. Now, with that being said, I'll probably leave those alone. They're kind of on like the right corner of my bed. My bell peppers did really well last year, and they were super easy to take care of. So I think I'm going to do bell peppers again. I've wanted to grow tomatoes. I just don't feel like I have the space to do those properly right now. I do obviously want to focus more on vegetables. It's just again, working a full-time job, doing a lot of other things, having pets to take care of and stuff. I am not somebody who can tend to a garden daily. So things that require daily attention or potentially can have a lot of pests, I don't do well with. But herbs seem to be pretty easy to take care of. So let's see. You have 1 dog, 3 cats, kids with 3 kids. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so these are all beaded now. So I'm going to not cut it yet because I don't know how much of the string I have to drag over. So what I am going to do though is work on some of my little things of wheat. Okay, this doesn't have a seal. Hi. She's peeking out now. He's doing. He's a kitty. Okay. Okay, so we're pretty dry. We're getting there. But this part where I'm going to do the wheat is pretty dry, so we're going to grab another little brush, a little one, and I'm going to do I might pour some of this and mix it to make some lighter parts of the yellow too, so it's kind of dimensional. My cat's looking at it like, what are you doing? Okay, so basically this is the top, right? So I'm just going to do like little things of wheat. So we're going to start with and I will say now, you're more than welcome to use a reference. I might at some point, but art is my strength, so usually don't have to use a reference too much. So right now I'm just kind of doing strokes, like soft lines, I guess, so to speak, but really soft, kind of not connected strokes. And you'll see why. As you can see, it's kind of hard to tell on here on this camera. Okay, see how they're like lines, but they're not perfect. This is just going to be the stem part, right? And then we're going to go in and add more detail once we start making it. Let's see. I've counted the Omer last year, and I send you a pic of what mine was. See that every day to our YouTube. I showed you. Oh, cool. Yeah, definitely want to see that. You might be able to send it to me on Instagram. My DMs and stuff are open on there, and I'm pretty sure you could send me photos on there. Okay, so then I'm just kind of like using, like I said, you're more than welcome to use a reference if it helps you. I'm just kind of using my judgment of kind of different angles, because some of the wheat too, like wheat is a grass, right? So there is going to be like little at the very base of the stems, there's going to be little brownish grass, essentially, like little grass type leaves. So and actually, this might be like easier to do with it just slightly wet like this, because then you can kind of blend the colors, you know, kind of like if you, that's why a lot of people who do really pretty paintings and stuff will use, you can hear I live near a train, they will use oil paint, because oil paint stays wet for a long time, and oil paint, because it stays wet for a long time, you can really blend those colors. So that's why a lot of people really like oil paints. Which I thought about switching to. I just really, you know, for craft, a lot of people like to use acrylic because it's cheaper, obviously. And sometimes oil paints won't dry on certain, you know, medias and stuff. So you really have to know. Okay, that's pretty much it. Like, you know, just kind of, I'm just gonna add a couple more, and then I'm gonna go and start kind of adding some detail. So I'm just kind of making strokes where I want a stem to be and where I think I want a leaf to be. And by no means am I trying to make this like super realistic either. I'll say that. It's supposed to be just kind of whimsical. Okay. Now that I've got that, I'm going to go in and just be a little more careful and precise. With where my yellow is. And actually, I'm going to put a tiny bit down. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of that brown, really tiny amount since it's such a dark brown. I do have that medium brown too, but I just think the other brown, because it's a higher quality, would work better. So. Now the way wheat looks is it kind of like is, you know, little strokes upward. And they're, you know, busheled together. So kind of like, I'm showing you like this one right here. Sorry, like that one right there. And then I'm going to go in and do the detail like on it. So. Some wheat looks like a little more scarce, like if it's not, you know, it's a smaller piece or something. It's not like a full grown. The key is not to make them too identical either, so that they look a little more natural. Like just as you wouldn't make trees in a forest identical. And if you end up hating it or messing up, you can paint over it. So, you know. And if you really have a hard time with painting still, then I would recommend maybe using a pencil before you paint any of it. Like you let the paint completely dry behind it and then use a pencil and go and draw kind of a little more what you're wanting. Okay. Okay, now we're starting to look a little more like wheat, right? So then let me add some tiny bit of this brown here. Literally just like a drop. Okay. Another really cool method that you can use for painting stuff like this is just doing the softer strokes like that, essentially, and then going in with some markers over it, like brown Sharpie, or if you want to be a little more like artsy with it, you can do, or like not artsy, I'm trying to think of the word, more abstract, I guess, not so realistic. You can go in and kind of add details with that marker, which I'm going to do a little bit of. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because I'm probably going to write, I do have those letters, but I'm probably going to write on it with a Sharpie the words that I'm trying to do. So, all right. Let's see here. Okay. Starting to look a little more like wheat, huh? The detail is really going to come in though when I use the marker. You don't have to use marker. I just find, for simplicity reasons, it's easier for me to. Okay. Okay, we're gonna let that dry while we're gonna attach the beads now to this. So I am going to put the lid on this paper. So we're gonna get the paint out of the way so I don't spill it. And then what I'm probably gonna do after that is get the beads on, show you what that looks like, and then I'm probably gonna end the live there and just obviously finish painting and touch up everything. And then I'll make a part 2 video revealing. I may add some of the footage of me like drawing on with the Sharpie and stuff like I'm telling you. And then make a part 2 revealing it for you guys. So okay, we're going to put it right there. Okay, so from far away, so you can see. So then what I'm going to do is come in here once this is dry and really add the detail of the different sheaves and everything and the leaves and all that. So, and then the yellow beads down here will kind of tie in. Obviously, we'll finish the framing, and then I'm going to do the writing up here, counting the Omer, and see where I can add my little decals. I might add some down here and stuff. So. Okay. Actually, I have some dry space. Let's see if we can add a transfer down here. Because I kind of want to add a couple behind the beads. So again, these transfers, dollar store, really cute. Obviously, it's not like any that are super direct wheat. You know, there's a couple plants and stuff, but there are some harvesty type, like the rakes and the plants and the little sign and stuff like that. So I'm just going to add a couple different ones of these here. The little crates. Ooh. I do like the rolling pin because you tend to use, you know, pins and stuff to make pastries. Rolling pins. And then I just cut out the one I want to use. There we go. And I'm going to cut off this part because I don't know if that's transfer or not. So you take the little transfer, and as you can see, it's got like a back. So you just peel it off like if you were doing, you know, like a thing. And then you just place it where you want it, and you're going to like rub pretty hard. I usually use like the edge of something. If you have nails, you could use your nail, but I don't have nails. So, and then you rub it, and then you just slowly peel away. So I'm going to find a spot, do it, and then I'll show you when I'm done. Let's see, where do I want the pin? We're going to do thinking. Sorry, what? Okay. So we're going to rub it. And I'm always like, I won't say over rub it, but you want to over rub it because if you start to peel it and you didn't rub it enough, it's really hard to get it back down. So Now, luckily, the rolling pin itself doesn't have like a ton of detail. It does have some words, but now what's cool about this black one is as I'm rubbing, you can see where it looks lighter. That's because the plastic's peeling away from it. So where it's darker, it's not completely transferred. So it kind of tells me where I need to rub a little harder. And I knew the area by the words would definitely be one of the harder spots. Okay, and then I just peel away. Boop. I mean, for the dollar store, you can't really beat that, right? It's my little Matthew. And it's backwards on your camera, but it's right on my side. Let's see. Instagram, yeah. A gold marker. No, what I was painting with earlier was yellow paint. You could use a gold marker, but I don't have that. But I do have gold transfers as well. Okay, let's see. Obviously, I think I want to use some of these some of these might be good to use with the wheat, like once it's dry. Some of these little plant ones. I kind of want to use the rakes and the crates. I do like those, but as cute as all the other ones are, some of them don't really apply to this specific project, but I can use them for something else. So if you guys have anything you want to talk about before I leave, I'll probably end the live here. Unless you want to see me string the beads on. I mean, I already string the beads, but if you want to watch me glue them on, otherwise I can end it here and just make another video when I'm done, probably later this weekend or something. Let's see. What is the Omer calendar used for? No, trust me, I didn't know either at first, so don't feel stupid for asking. So the Omer is in Leviticus. You are to count the Omer, which is 50 days leading up to Pentecost. So this is after first fruits. So you have Passover, which is 1 day. Then you have, it's the day before a Sabbath, so Friday night, which technically is a Sabbath, Friday or sundown to sundown. So then you have the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And then after Feast of Unleavened Bread, you have first fruits. And then from first fruits is when you would count the Omer. Counting the Omer has to do with the wheat harvest because we're doing like a calendar form of counting it because of the command. However, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a farmer. I don't grow wheat, things like that. But it has to do with the weeks of the wheat harvest because there's 7 weeks, 50 days, counting up to Pentecost, and then you have Pentecost. So that's what this is kind of in commemoration, celebrating. So some people, like I said, can do something as simple as like a calendar and you just scratch off the days. I just wanted to be creative and make something a little more fun than that. It's something great to get your kids involved. I know one thing I hear a lot of people ask when they're trying to get more about following God's feasts is like, how do I get my kids away from some of these traditions when they're, the last thing we want to do is make it seem like we're just not doing anything. And my personal opinion on that is I've known a few too many people who grew up Jehovah's Witness. And while they may be somewhat accurate on some of the aspects of holidays, they don't replace them back with God's feasts. So then they just don't celebrate anything. And these kids grow up. They also, from the people I've known, I can't say this about everybody, but they don't explain to their children the reasoning for any of that. So then these kids grow up not knowing why they can't celebrate any holidays, can't do anything, and there's no explanation as to why. And God's feasts are actually pretty fun. So if you can do fun stuff with the kids, and I get that's hard if you don't know how to involve them, but things like this, crafts, let them help you cook, like Purim, a lot of people dress up, wear costumes, so they still get to like have, in a sense, a day they dress up like they would for Halloween if they were secular, stuff like that. That's my little rake there. I'm probably going to put the other rake in the corner. The only reason I'm making it all even down here is because the beads. So I feel like since it's going to be behind the beads, I want it to be symmetrical. I did in the description of this video leave a link to one of my favorite blogs, like I said, Land of Honey. And she explains this. She has a different craft on hers. I think hers is like a scratch off type calendar. But her blog is really good at explaining in simple form God's commands and how they would pertain just into a biblical understanding and not so much like adding later traditional aspects of Judaism that weren't around in Bible times, you know what I mean? So that we're not like appropriating anything that isn't from the Bible and that we don't have necessarily understanding of and stuff like that, which can be hard because unfortunately the only people who mostly kept these traditions alive and stuff were Judaism. So it's hard to get information because a lot of Christians don't observe the commands and stuff that God gave us in the Torah to follow his feast and stuff. So there's not a lot of resources that isn't one or the other, you know? Let's see. Baptist here, so not really. It's okay. A lot of people aren't. I'm in the South too, so we have a lot of like Baptist churches and stuff like that here. And people want to learn. I'm more than happy to I'm learning as I go too. And that's what I try to portray on my TikTok. Like I'm never trying to tell people like that I think I'm better than them or anything like that. I think a lot of people will take that when people follow Torah and follow God's commands that they're trying to say they're like better or something. And it's not that. It's about building a relationship. It's about learning. It takes sometimes you mess up. Like, how long it took me to actually understand Sabbath and get Sabbath? Because again, when I was talking about resources, what we have to compare to is more along the lines of Orthodox Judaism, where they don't turn on lights. A lot of them don't drive. They don't tear paper. So none of this would be okay. So there's a lot of aspects and that pertains to every command that they have. So there's just a lot of regulations that were added by tradition and oral law and everything way later on. So what does the Bible say strictly? Well, Sabbath, don't buy or sell. Don't make anyone else, including your pets, animals, ox, whatever, work. You are to set it apart. Essentially, it's supposed to be your day of worshiping God and glorifying God. So you're not supposed to it says not do your own pleasure, but it's not talking like you can't relax and have fun. What it's saying is you're not breaking your own by wanting to do. So for example, me wanting to go shopping would be breaking the Sabbath in two ways because I'm doing it over choosing to follow God and follow God's day and rest in his day. But then also I'm breaking the buying, and the reason buying's bad is it's making other people work. whether they're already working or not, it's feeding that form of work, right? It's like, yeah, well, I'm not, just because I'm buying something, they're still going to work even if I don't buy something. Well, yeah, but that's still, in a sense, making someone sin, because if everybody followed Sabbath, then nobody would be working Sabbath, right? So, when we got a new appliance, the instruction book talks about how it has a Sabbath setting. Yeah, fridges. I thought that was so weird too. I mean, it's cool. I just never realized that fridges had that either. But I mean, it makes sense. And like, I mean this from the most respectful way. Like I said, I ethnically have Jewish bloodline, but from a religious aspect, and I know there's different sections and stuff of Judaism. So there's, most Jewish people fall under Orthodox nowadays, but there are Haredi Jews. There are different kind of forms that are a little bit different here and there. And some, even within the Orthodox community, are more strict about certain things than others. Like some are very strict about covering their hair, while others don't cover their hair and stuff like that. So with that being said, the implications are what make God's law so difficult that most people don't follow them, because when you add all these things, they are impossible to follow, right? So they may not seem impossible to a lot of people who do, but when you add every little aspect, so I'm just going to give you an example, and I get it's not a requirement, but what a lot of them do to make their lives easier is they'll have 3 sinks, 2 dishwashers. They'll have, some of them I've heard of having 2 kitchens. They have certain things because they can't turn on lights. They can't mix meat and milk even in the sink or the dishwasher. They can't, when it comes to Passover, like we're saying, you're supposed to clean out leaven. Well, that comes down to, there's a spiritual aspect obviously to it, but from a literal aspect, yes, deep cleaning, spring cleaning is good, but then it gets to the point where like some of them cover things in their house. They will have a separate kitchen that they never put leaven in to begin with, like, and that's not what it's meant to be. Most people can't afford 2 kitchens. Most people can't afford 3 dishwashers or anything like that. And as nice as that is, think about how hard your life would be if you didn't have any of that, but were expected to still follow it the same way. And that's kind of what is the other end of the spectrum of grace-only teachings, where we have grace, so we never have to really worry about obeying what God wants us to obey, and going to the other end of the spectrum, which is how in depth and detail are we expected to follow if we're going by what is added from rabbis and stuff later. So, like I said, one of my favorite examples of this is the Mezuzah. The command directly is from Deuteronomy. It speaks of having God's words and everything, to keep them on your doorpost and your gates and everything. And that's essentially what it says. It says to write them, right? So it doesn't say that you have to use a certain pen or a certain ink. It doesn't say you have to use a certain thing. Now, Mezuzah is a really good, simple way in Judaism to fulfill this command, because basically there's a scroll inside of it that has his words and everything. So it's writing on your doorpost, and you screw it onto your doorpost. I have 2. I have one front and back. Some people put them on every door frame in their house, stuff like that. So that's essentially, I don't have a gate. Otherwise I'd put it on the gate. So with that being said, the Mezuzah, writing the scroll and everything for Mezuzah, do you know how many commands there is for that? That's one command out of the 613. There's over 4,600. Okay. And everyone knows that nobody knows them all because it's impossible. But if there's 4,600 for one, and I think that might just be the writing of it. That's not even the command of how you're supposed to hang the mezuzah or anything like that. But if that is for one, think about what there is for another and what there is for another. And this is exactly what Yeshua is talking about in the New Testament when he is talking to the Pharisees about adding to God's law. Okay? It's not that the law is done away with and the law is, we shouldn't follow it and it's bad, we're putting ourselves back under it. It's going to the other end of the spectrum of that, and that's why the Bible says all throughout it, Old Testament, New Testament, all of the above, don't go right or left. The narrow path is having both. Okay? But there's no perfect person other than him, right? So you may be a little more inclined to lean this way or lean that way. We all stumble in a sense, right? You fall at a rock and you kind of stumble to the right a little bit or to the left. But the key is to still stay on the path. And ultimately, that's what we need to try and mimic, I guess, is having both as much as we can. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Let's see. Hi, Robert. Okay, so I think I'm going to end it here. I'm going to finish painting this. I just found another bead, so I'm adding it to I'm going to finish painting it. I'm going to measure out my beads. And basically, just to give you an idea. 1, 2, 3. Okay, here's 7 beads. Okay, so then once I have these, the 7 weeks, on here, I'll push all these to one side. And then when I go to start my counting, I guess I should do it this way. This will probably be better. There we go. Okay, it'll look like that. And then I'll count 1. And then the next day, 2. Next day, 3, 4. And then when I get to 50, I know it's Pentecost. Cute. So that's an Omer counter. So, yeah. If you guys make any, I really want to see them. I know a Book of Elizabeth, should be sending me a picture. I'd love to see yours. So I'm very curious. And I'm always looking for ideas because I think next year I really want to do the box method that has scripture in it because I feel like that'll add a little more. And I could still sort of do that with this. I could still put scripture in a jar and just pull one out each day, which I might do. That might be fun. But I just feel like it adds a little more meaning to it as well, so. All right, you guys have a great day. I will post part 2 as soon as I'm done with this. And yeah, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.